I'm here at Divertimenti, Brompton Road with Tim Hayward. Tim Hayward, I'm going to list things if I forget anything. You are a broadcast journalist. We hear you on Radio 4. You are a judge on the Food and Farming Awards.
That's right, yep.
Print journalist, we can read you in the FT, among other fabulous publications. You are the author of Food DIY. Mm-hmm. You are a restaurateur. You have your own place in Cambridge.
That's right, yeah.
And you are up for not one, but two prestigious, as we love to say, Food Journalist Awards for Fortnum & Mason Food and Drink and for the Guild of Food Writers.
Yeah.
I take a collective breath.
Thank you.
Have I forgotten anything?
No, not at all. Apart from the fact I'm a handsome guy, a dad, a competent mechanic, and I'm really good at lawn mowing. No. But thank you very much.
But two major awards, that's incredible, nominated for those.
It's a bit bonkers. Yeah, it really is. I mean, I don't think it's ever happened before. And I'm incredibly chuffed. So today's quite an exciting day. I'm a little bit sort of jiggly now, not quite sure.
I'm jiggly too, and I'm not up for an award. Well, the other thing that I forgot to say is, or left out, is that you were the moderator for the Divertimenti Culinary Salon.
Yeah.
Which is just finished. And we had 15 women as part of our Women in Food series. And I am curious to get your impressions, high points, hopefully no low points, anything in between.
It was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, when you called me a couple of months before and said I was supposed to moderate it, partly I thought that is just the daftest idea I've ever heard. I sort of do quite a lot of blokey stuff, and it did seem quite intimidating, the idea of going into that room. And then when I actually started seeing the lists and realised this wasn't just any old panel, but some really, really sort of intellectual heavyweights, we got some amazing brains there. But that was the really big realisation for me, which I mean, after that first night, and I just realised that you genuinely couldn't get 5 blokes in food to sit at a place like that. I mean, you wouldn't get them to share in that way, and that was the really unique part of the whole process. It was a mainly women audience, maybe a couple of guys there just to keep me company, and women on the panel, and just me sitting there. And it was so sharey and supportive. It was so warm, great to be there. We've got to do it again. Next year, if we do it, at the very least, we've got to have a day of just women. It's so cool.
No, it was amazing. And I thought the different experiences they brought, because we had food producers, we had food writers, and chefs, and all these different ways that they'd gotten into food, and then how they perceived being a woman working in the field today. I thought was fascinating.
Oh, it was tremendous. I mean, we covered an enormous amount of ground, but there was a great deal of shared stuff, particularly around the kind of stylistic element of the way women regard food compared to the way that men in the industry regard food. I'm not talking about guys cooking at home. That's kind of a different thing. But the industry has, it's not just always been sexist. It's got this male tonality to professional cooking. All this foams and vapours and fiddling about and showing off, blokery. And women just are bypassing that en masse. I mean, certainly as writers, we need to get our head around that. You know, we've welcomed, in the last decade, we've sort of welcomed men into the food world. It's not just women writing about food for women anymore, as it used to be in the magazines. And now it's broad. Men are involved. That's terrific. But if we keep writing about this macho nonsense, then we're just going to lose the other half of our audience again. Then it will disappear.
Well, they were not shrinking violets when the word foam was mentioned. I mean, as soon as you said the word foam, there was an audible noise that. I
thought Valentina would come over the desk and punch me. And you don't really want to mess with the Italians that much, but she was quite ferocious. That was really great.
And any kind of favorite? I mean, they're all fabulous, but anything in particular that kind of stood out to you, or moments that were?
Well, no, because it was so collaborative. I mean, you were sitting there, and normally when you moderate something like that, you're watching for people who are going to fight, or there's a bit of tension, something like that, and you either develop it or you knock it back. And they were so collaborative, so helpful, so friendly. It kind of ran itself. It was a great gig. I mean, anytime you want that done, call me.
I'm going to hold you to it. Tim Hayward, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for all of your help, and good luck. We will be crossing fingers and everything else.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.